Hey guys, William here. Wanted to quick introduce myself. My name is William Geronko. I'm a co-founder of Castle.com and Geronko.com and a few other websites and companies out there. So I wanted to create this channel to share that knowledge. I'm not a coach. I'm not going to sell you a book. There's no course coming. So I'm not trying to sell anything or I'm literally trying to learn from people and teach people what I've learned so far in life, and just share some knowledge with you guys about what has worked for me and the many different experiences that I have that I can actually tell of the times that I needed help, and then I also gathered that knowledge and that help online from other people as well on YouTube. A lot of times. So in this time and era of AI, I believe it's a great, phenomenal time to be alive right now for the person that it's, an entrepreneur that likes to think outside of the box, that likes to build things, that always felt restrained by funds or the need to go out there and find a VC. Uh, that time is over. This is your time, right? This is your time to make things happen with the resources that we now have. This channel is about that. This channel is us getting together almost as a an open table, unscripted live session where we code something together and we learn something together every video. That's the main goal of this channel. So with that being said, today I want to make a very, very quick video just explaining to you guys why I choose to use Lovable and Replit for the majority of the development and work that I do on my end for my companies every day. I want to tell you guys what I think, my personal opinion, the difference between one versus the other, what's more important for me personally, about features and usability in the UI and how things work versus the other. But right off the bat, I can tell you that the reason why I work with these two is because they are the two best ones out there. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Okay, let's get started with Lovable. This is my personal Lovable account. So I'm going to show you guys exactly what I do. And then what I usually like to do, which is I like to do my research first. I'm going to show you guys what that means. Okay, so what I like to usually begin with is with the idea, right? You always need to have a path and a plan. So what I usually like to start with, I usually like to choose one AI agent. You can use Grok AI is doing a fantastic job, and I use Grok AI a lot for this. And you describe the idea that you have, and you tell the AI specifically right off the bat, where are you trying to accomplish this idea, such as, we're trying to do this through Lovable.dev. And then you ask for the initial command, and then you ask for the knowledge base. Don't worry about it. I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do that on the very next video. So the video right after this one is a video that I teach you guys how I come up with ideas on what to build next. So after I have that done, I take that initial command and I come back right here into Lovable and I paste it right here where you guys are seeing this. And I do exactly the same thing with Replit. And as you can see, I built my own personal website using Lovable. And I try to do the same thing using Replit. So this is a great example how some websites or some systems or apps, either for your own sole usage or as a SaaS model, sometimes it would work way better on Lovable, but sometimes it works way better on Replit. So it's really depending on the situation that you're in and what you're trying to create. That's how you start to think, which tools should I use for this? Should I use Replit or should I use Lovable? So on this particular case on my own personal website, I'm using Lovable. That's what worked best for me. And I want to show you guys an example of what some of the initial commands were and why I decided to choose Lovable over Replit in this particular situation. Also, when I was building this, I built really quickly just so I can show you guys for this particular video on YouTube. I meant to start this channel a while ago already, and I was procrastinating. So I was like, today is the day. I got to get it done. This is the only picture I had, so I had to slap. I Look like I was having a bad Monday in that picture, so I apologize about that. I do smile. I'm a happy person. Promise. But anyways, so this is what I come up with. And right off the bat, I told from the initial command that I wanted the website to be very creative, robust, beautiful, very edgy, with larger than life fonts and impactful. And the result was very poor on both platforms, actually. So we went back, and you tell the platform in greater details exactly what you're trying to accomplish, which I said a creative way, more of almost like a comic book, right? With very obnoxious shadows and bold text and screaming fonts. It's very specific about the colors, saying that, hey, I really dislike gradients unless it's on a hero banner. All the other colors make it solid. This, and then the more you talk to it, the better you'll get. Okay, so that's what happened in this particular case here. And on this website, I always start from the footer up. So not just on this website, but the majority of the websites that I do now, applications is a different story, right? But websites, I usually tend to create a footer first, and I always create a global universal footer. So you specifically tell whatever AI agent that you're working with that you want to create a global footer or a global top nav header that it's going to be used to all throughout all public pages. And you do the same thing for the admin pages once we get there. So when it comes to creating global elements and modules, such as a global nav, top header that's always going to stay the same, or a bottom footer that's always going to stay the same for all public pages, right? I believe Lovable does a little bit of a better job on that. And the reason is because all AI tools, they tend to have a mind of their own sometimes, right? Sometimes you want to change one thing and it ends up changing something else completely different. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to control AI from doing things like that. So with Lovable, I have a knowledge base where I can come here and I can modify that knowledge base. So Lovable will know what I want and I don't want it to do when it's making changes. Like I said, I specifically said in bold letters, I hate gradient elements. So only on the hero banner you can use a gradient element, but nowhere else. And then I talked about the style that I want and all that. And that stays saved on its memory throughout that time that you're working with Lovable, right? So you're giving commands and stuff, and the whole entire time, Lovable's checking on that. You can do a similar thing to Replit, but it's not as robust and as open and as easy to insert and communicate with as you have it in Lovable. Here's Replit. As you can see, the Replit interface very similar to the Lovable interface. And you can make actually exactly the same. You can do two side panels, left panel, right panel. And right panel, you can put the preview screen. On the left panel, you can put your agent and your assistant. The flexibility that I have to arrange tabs and if I want my agent to be here, I want my deployment screens to be here, and I want my database to be here. It's very easy for me to jump from screen to screen. Also, something else on Lovable that we have, it's the easy ability to added actual files if you know a little bit of coding as well yourself, or if you know a lot of coding as well. Doesn't matter your level of knowledge of coding. Replit makes you feel more like you belong if you are more into coding rather than just into AI commands. So it gives the flexibility for people on both sides. If you're a lot into coding or if you're more into AI assisting, you will find a place that it will make you happy in Replit. Lovable, it's great, but it's web-based and it's very limited. It is what it is. You get what you see, right? Although they are making improvements with the settings and the tabs and all that stuff that they're doing now, great job for the Lovable folks as well. But clear winner when it comes to UI, it's going to be Replit, in my personal opinion, like I said. So let's go back into the actual live example that I was trying to tell you guys. It doesn't matter how nice your UI is, right? If the results are not better than the other guys, then I'm going to choose Lovable for that project. But don't get discouraged by Replit at all, because I'm going to show you guys examples where I couldn't get Lovable to produce anything that was satisfactory to my likings, where Replit just got it right off the bat first try. Right. So, like I said, good and bad on both. Um, so let me show you guys a little bit of the website. Very similar commands, bold, edgy design. Uh, Same thing that we did on Lovable, right? And on this end, it was a lot more conservative with the designs and the animations. Even though I said be bold, larger than life fonts, very creative, almost like a comic book kind of thing, colorful. Where here in Rapid, it's a lot more cautious, right? It's a lot more careful with what he produced here. And very plain as well. So you use the placeholder, great, which is a great starter, right? Right off the bat, you can see that Lovable put a little bit more effort into making sure that the design was good right from the beginning. Where Replit, I am going to have to work a little bit more, maybe another 15, 20 commands, maybe 25 commands to get the design exactly the way that I want from beginning to end. So in this particular project, the choice to use Lovable over Reddit was solely based on the job that was initially produced by the AI engine. But with that being said, I also took in consideration all the things that I needed after the design was done, right? Um, your database structure and what are you going to use the application for? Am I going to take subscriptions or not? I'm not going to. I'm not going to take payments through that website. So it becomes a lot easier to make that decision now because it's based almost solely on design. So with that being said, it was easy to make that choice to go with Lovable. But, and here's a great example, the the main difference that makes me choose these two platforms and the main differences between the two of them. Where in Lovable, you have the integration with Supabase, which is amazing, right? I love the integration and what these guys did with Supabase. Easy to integrate, syncs back and forth, but you still have a little bit of work to do. And let's face it, it is an extra $10 per month, right? Each time that you create a new database in Supabase, if you want all the bells and whistles and everything to work the way it's supposed to work, every time that you create a new database in Supabase, that automatically syncs in with that beautiful automated integration that the Lovable folks did. I mean, it's going to cost you an extra $10 per month, right? So there's that as well. Where on Replit, that's just one single command. Install me the database and it's done, right? And next thing you know, the database will just show up here. Yeah, you can do manually as well. You can go ahead and connect manually, sure. But you just ask Replit, go ahead and fire up that database and it's done. And the integration and chances for errors, it's a lot less with Replit because it really truly feels like it's one big, huge ecosystem. Now, when it comes to integration with third party services that you will need for your software, they both do a great job, Lovable and Replit. But Replit is a lot more integrated with things such as deployment, um, the domain name that you want to deploy in, the security aspect of things, the database aspect of things. Replit is a clear winner for the integration. It's really a truly all-in-one platform from scratch to development. The Lovable folks are doing a great job catching up to that, so I'm not concerned at all what Lovable is going to do in the future. A great feature that we were just gifted with on Lovable and just being able to start using it. It's the security review feature, which, by the way, it was in beta and now it's not in beta anymore, right? So great feature to have. As you guys can see here on Lovable, now I have one Supabase security warning. Very easy to go there, clear that warning out right through the chat here in Lovable, right? So beautiful thing that you can actually start a chat and debate and brainstorm what we think the next call to action should be on the development of your project without actually making any code changes. So that's a big plus that Lovable has as well. Now, when it comes to the integration with GitHub, I think that Lovable does a better job on that. Again, like where Replit does a better job on the database area, Lovable does a much better job when it comes to integrating with GitHub. I think it's a more seamless integration. It's a lot easier to push the changes there, and it gives me a lot less errors. A lot of times on Replit, I try to push things to Git and I get an error. Where Replit has its own Git as well, and you are encouraged to use that if you wish to do so. Old school, I like to use GitHub. So when it comes to GitHub integration, I think Lovable is a clear winner as well on this. Now, let me show you guys something that I find extremely useful, and I think you guys will as well. On Lovable, you can click Edit, and then you can click on that, and you can change it. Now, it's not perfect. As you guys can see, it's waiting for the live preview. And also the other thing too is if the module that you're trying to change is actually dynamic, you will not change. It will tell you that you have to make that module not global. Now, this is a game changer. When this came out maybe 4 months ago, and we're in June right now. So the Lovable guys are ahead of their game when it comes to this one particular feature. And to be honest with you guys, this feature worked well all the way from the beginning. I've never had many problems with this feature. So, you know, highly recommend it, and kudos to you guys at Lovable. Works great. So in this case, as you can tell, very, very easy to make that change. You just change the word that you want, literally, and you can see the change live right on the page itself that you're working with, right? You change your mind, you delete, you hit save, and just like that, it's now saved, right? On Replit, even though I did read online that this feature is coming, it's still not here, right? At least not in the version that I'm using. Now, if I put this on two panels side by side, maybe it might show up. I haven't tried it yet, but possibly will. But it's not necessarily as easy as it is on Lovable to just literally click edit, click where you want to change, and just change it that way. Something that you're going to learn very quickly about developing anything using AI and AI tools such as Lovable and Replit is that it's not perfect, right? So what I do personally is I never blame the machine or AI for anything. I blame myself because I'm the one giving the commands, correct? Because trying to build anything with AI, you're going to realize soon that it's great, it's magical, but it's not perfect, right? So the history tab and going back is your best friend. Don't spend too much time asking and telling AI to do something that it's just taking a long time to get it fixed. It's going to be easier to just start from the beginning again. And I don't mean start from the beginning of your project. I mean, start from the beginning of that day or that hour that things started to go wrong. It's a lot easier, more beneficial to you to do that. When it comes to using the history feature or the rollback feature, as you want to call it, I think Replit does a better job. Not by much, but it does a better job. And I'll explain to you why. A lot of times, if you try to go back into a restored position on your application on Lovable, if you made a significant change to the database, he will warn you that the graphics and things like that on your website or your application will go back to that rollback version, but not the actual database because the changes on the database were made externally and they will not be able to roll back. Now, maybe it's because Replit has that all integrated system with the databases, but Replit does not have that problem. On Replit, you go back to your agent and you see your entire history tab. You can actually place the history tab right here on your interface so you can have it at all times. And you can go back and you can roll to any position that you were in. And it's going to roll back the entire application, not just the graphics or the things that it's not stored in a database. But if you made any database entries or any database actual changes or fundamental changes to the database, let's say we changed the structure of the actual database or the sign up form, or we added an extra field to the sign up process or anything like that, you will roll back the entire application to that point that you were in, exactly the way you were in when you started on that point. So for that, clear winner, Replit. So when I started this project, taking all that in consideration, database was not a very high priority on my list because I'm not dealing with payment and I'm not storing anything too crazy. The only thing I'm really going to store here, it's the API secret key for my YouTube videos. What I wanted to do is I wanted the system, as soon as I post a new video on YouTube, to automatically sync and update my website so that video will go on. I will eventually build an agent where when that video goes up on YouTube, the agent will actually promote that video for me, not just on my own personal website, but on all the social media channels that I have a presence in. But besides that API, there's not a whole lot of other things that we want to store. We want to have a database with for this particular application. So we continued to go with Lovable because of all the pros, right? The better design and all that. Okay, now let's talk about the big elephant in the room. What else do I take in consideration? You have to take in consideration what happens after the deployment happen, after you hit that deploy button. Because what I like to say is this: vibe coding is 90% fun and 10% hard work. That 10% hard work is deployment and testing, right? So you really have to test your system. So worrying about testing and make sure everything works before you deploy, very important. Utilize all the security features that you have, and both of these programs have very robust security features lately with the latest features that they have. I think, in my humble opinion, that Lovable is doing a better job when it comes to that. It's a lot easier to scan for errors and any sort of security potential issues that might arise. Also, you have Supabase doing a great job scanning all that and then giving us the warning signals, red flag, yellow flag, and then so I think, in my opinion, the Lovable is doing a better job when it comes to that, but Replit is not far behind. Replit is a very safe platform as well, very, very secure. You have a dedicated place for all your security keys, your database structure, the schema of your data. Everything is very, very safe as well on Replit. They're both very rock solid programs to use for your development. But after it's all tested and working, it's live. Now what? Again, in my humble opinion, and I think a lot of people out there will agree to this. If you disagree, you can write down in the comments below and we can have a chat. But I think the majority of us will agree: marketing. You have to be able to sell what you just built. You have to be able to promote what you have just built. You have to get the word out. So, SEO, question that comes on all the time. A lot of people ask me, which one of these two platforms is best for SEO? Well, let me break the news to you. They both suck. More or less. That's pretty much the answer. They both suck. They don't do any sort of assistance or help when it comes to helping you build a better page or a better content for digital marketing. Luckily for you, we're dealing with AI, so we can always ask. Things are not there, we build things, right? So creating a structure where SEO and digital marketing is first and foremost in the AI's mind from the very beginning. Lovable, you're going to put that into your knowledge base. Replit, you're going to be telling the system about that and trying to remember as much as possible, which the system does a pretty good job on that. But what I always do is I always start with the front end from the footer up. And then I go, after all the front end pages are done with a content that I'm satisfied with, that I know it's good for what I want to do, then I will focus on the back end of my entire system. It doesn't matter what I'm working with, websites or applications. After I start building that back end ecosystem, there's always going to be a pages management section in a marketing analysis SEO section within my application where I'm analyzing the content of my pages and I'm cross-referencing that. That talks to SEMrush and it talks to Google keyword research tools to better help us developing a platform that it's not just functional, but it's generating leads and revenue back to you. Do a little research. That's why it's very important to use AI to do that initial to do that initial deep search, and then to put that into thinking to help you then develop that initial command and the knowledge base. But I would always emphasize to AI when doing that the importance of monetization. How do I monetize what I'm building? How do I make sure that I'm making money on top of my time invested into AI? Because remember, these things cost money. Um, it's, a couple of $100 for this, it's a couple of $100 for that. Next thing you know, it's actually a significant amount of money at the end of the month, right? So how do I optimize all that and how do I actually monetize? Those are very important things for me when I start any project. So that's it, guys. On this video, I just wanted to keep it very short. That I just wanted to show you the differences between these two tools that I currently use, the two main tools that I use to develop for my business, for my personal life, Lovable and Replit. I love both tools. I do not have a choice one over the other. I use both of them on a daily basis. There's no clear winner on my book, my personal opinion. For certain projects, I will choose Lovable. I love Lovable and what these guys are doing. Big fan of these guys. Replit is amazing. Replit is where I have my two main businesses built, was in Replit, is still in Replit. I work with Replit every day. Those guys are rock solid, but don't choose one over the other. Do what I do, use both. They are the two best out there on the market today. And I work with a lot of tools and I tried a lot of different ones, all the way from Firebase Studio to Cursor and pretty much everything else in between. What you will have these days is a lot of noise, a lot of noise. Everybody's screaming for our creative minds. It is up to you and it's up to me and it's up to you, everyone getting involved in this, to be smart with your time. Right now, time is of the essence. There's going to be a time when all of this will be so overly saturated that it will not matter. Maybe my channel will just be a historical channel that somebody's going to listen to this video in the future in some museum somewhere, right? But until then, there's a mountain of revenue to be made out there. And I think that we are at the right place at the right time. So choose wisely. Don't waste too much time watching endless YouTube videos going around in circles on how to get rich on this and that, or waste time trying every single AI program under the sun. So time is of the essence right now, and our time is extremely, extremely valuable. If you watched this video to this point, thank you so much. That means you liked it. You watched all the way to the end. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Like I said, I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm just trying to make a rock solid community of people trying to help each other and try to make something out there out of nothing, right? And that's the beauty about what we do in building and being an entrepreneur, is building something out of nothing. And that's my passion in life. And I love to see people doing the same thing. So please subscribe to my channel, share this video with anyone that you know. On the very next video, I want to talk about how to come up with ideas. I want to teach you guys how I personally come up with some of these ideas, right? How I start my research, which AI tools I choose to use for that research. Is it Grok? Is it ChatGPT? And then when do I choose one over the other? And I would love to share all that with you guys. So subscribe to the channel, keep the notification going so you know when the next video is coming up, and we'll see you guys soon.